Estimate the values to complete the table. So for angle A, that's this one up here, we have the adjacent leg, that's this one here, divided by the hypotenuse is equal to 0.31. And we have the opposite divided by the hypotenuse is 0.95. And the opposite divided by the adjacent is 0.31. So we have to figure out what these are for C. So if we switch where our angle is, so for example, if we use this one, the adjacent and the opposite are just going to switch places. So we're still using the same number, it's just that the adjacent of A is the opposite for Y, or for C, excuse me. So the opposite here for A is actually the adjacent over here. So for C, this should be 0.95. And if we're looking for the opposite over the hypotenuse here for angle Y, that would be the same as the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse for A, which would be 0.31. So if you're stuck on how to figure out the opposite divided by the adjacent, here's how we can think about it. If you have the adjacent leg divided by the hypotenuse and you get 0.31, then that means that our fraction is really 0.31 over 1. So the adjacent leg for A is 0.31 and the hypotenuse is 1. And the same thing with the opposite and the hypotenuse. So again, it would be 0.95 over 1. So the opposite of A would be 0.95 and the hypotenuse would be 1. So for C, we need to find the opposite over the adjacent. Well, we know that with C, this one is the opposite and this one is the adjacent. So we're going to do 0.31 divided by 0.95. So 0.31 divided by 0.95, and there's our answers.